Hello everybody, I'm TRXD, and today I am pleased to announce that on this very day, this video, I'm going to be doing a new Minecraft series. And this time, it won't be a bullshit one either. This time I'm actually gonna do a proper series, which will actually last a good number of episodes. I won't be distracted. I won't be changing systems, which will result me in cancelling the series, like what happened with my tech hits. This won't be on a server which could die within a matter of weeks. Let's just say that today I'm doing a modded Minecraft series. Not modded Minecraft in the way that it is, well, you know, mods which I've chosen. As a matter of fact, I'll be playing with a mod pack. And in particular, I'll be playing the Direwolf20 Pack! Hell to the yes! And the Direwolf20 Pack is presumably my favourite mod pack of them all. Like, no joke, it is absolutely awesome. Let me just show you the 57 mods that we have in this bitch. We have Optifine. Well, I added Optifine myself. We got MCP, which is now included in any mod by default. We got Forge, of course. We got the Chicken Core mod, which won't entirely be convenient for most people, but it provides some stuff for the EnderStorage mod, NEI. Speaking of which, here is NEI. Probably one of the best client-side mods around, allowing for recipe viewing, item spawning, cheating, just anything cool for a casual gamer, and anything for a creative or just a downright cheater. We got Ray's Minimap. Originally in the Direwolf20 Pack version 1 and 2, Ray's Minimap wasn't in this, so when I used to play this back several months ago, I had to add in Ray's Minimap by myself because, well, I'm a sack of shit if I don't have Ray's Minimap. It's just simple as that. The modpack version which I'm using is version 4, so that means it has Ray's Minimap, it isn't buggy, iron chests and inventory tweaks will not lag you out, and will most likely not crash you. Although there is still the minor chance that iron chest upgrades can still crash a game. But don't worry, it's not corruptive in any way. Yeah, I had to wait a very, very long time for this to actually get done, because version 1 and 2 I originally planned on recording, but it was so buggy that first take, I crashed upon spawning. It was simple as that. Next up, we got BuildCraft, probably one of the first industrialized mods, and presumably one of the best. Essentially, it allows you to automate your crafting. It allows you to build stuff in the blink of an eye. It allows you to power awesome machines which are included in other mods, and I'll get into those in a bit. We got also IndustrialCraft 2, probably one of my favorite mods. A mod which everybody knows and loves, which includes electrical machines, industrial and future-aged machines and tools, and stuff which just anybody could like, really. Next up, we got the IndustrialCraft add-on called Charge Pads. This is a recent addition to Direwolf20 version 4, in which, well, I'll have to show you out, but here's a little snippet for you, just to get a good idea of it. Next of all, we got chicken chunks. It doesn't provide much of a description here, but chicken chunks is quite convenient, although I don't entirely use that mod that much. Next, we got compact solar arrays. A quite popular mod which was included in the Technic packs, shortly after its release. The compact solar arrays made by CPW allows you to make, well, compact solar panels which can produce 8, 64, or 512 EU per tick. It's seriously, it's seriously convenient. It's not OP in any way, just as long as you don't spawn them in. But it just helps to reduce CPU strain and, well, allows you to gather tons of energy without having to make a massive solar farm. God, I can just remember, when I first, played IndustrialCraft, I, made this huge, like, I don't know, like 20 by 20, like solar farm. Like, I was like seriously like high on resources, like tons of like coal dust and refined iron and redstone. And I just felt, why don't I make a solar farm? Next up, we got ComputerCraft, an awesome mod which allows you to add programmable computers and robots called turtles. ComputerCraft is so awesome, although it's quite hard to learn at first. So long as you know like basic programming techniques like I do, and you know a good amount of LUA, then you can easily get the jobby done. Next up, we have Equivalent Exchange Free, pre-release 1F. It's essentially the follow-up to Equivalent Exchange 2. You know, that seriously OP and cheat-based mod which allowed you to convert everything into everything else using the magical blocks known as condensers and collectors. Yeah, that mod. Honestly, I hated it too. But the authors Xenophobe and Pahima decided to, well, recode Equivalent Exchange so that it was no longer so OP. And they do have plans to like re-implement certain things from EE2, probably some of the old like alchemical items like the trying to think, maybe the Vulcanite Amulet and the Cataclytic Lens. I don't think they'll be. I think maybe they'll add in back the Klein Stars, but I don't. And Transmutation Tablets, I think, may be coming back, but they will most likely remove the Condensers and Collectors, because seriously, those were just off the scale, especially if you had Collectors Mark III along with Antimatter Relays. It just becomes absolutely mad. Next we have the EnderStorage mod, also made by Chicken Bones, the guy who made NEI. This is essentially an alternate to the Ender chests, which were included in vanilla Minecraft. This mod was actually around long before the actual Ender chests were added into vanilla Minecraft. This allowed you to, of course, it's essentially a special kind of chest. If you haven't tested it out with the Ender chests in vanilla Minecraft, essentially it's like a special kind of obsidian-based chest. Essentially, if you put an item into one of them, and you have another like Ender chest like somewhere far away of like the same kind, those two chests will actually share the same inventories. I might have to go into a bit more detail if you really want, but seriously, Ender chests are absolutely awesome. We got Extra Biomes XL, which adds in, well, tons of biomes, really. Like, I'm just absolutely mind blown by how many biomes this adds. Like redwood, pine forest, birch forest, wastelands, red rock mountains, glaciers. It just makes the place more, well, diverse and realistic and beautiful. Next we have Factorization. It's mostly focused on ore processing. You know, like how in like Industrial Craft you have your macerator to double your ore output. Well, Factorization does a similar principle, except in this mod, if you play your cards right, you can get at least 3 times your ore output. Like, no, but like, seriously. It also has automatic crafting principles, like you can store crafting recipes in little packets, which can then be stamped. It's essentially a good way to like ship off like complex items, which, you know, if you were to actually send the raw ingredients, you know, you would require a lot of methods of transportation. But with craft packets, you can compile the whole process down. It's very convenient in most circumstances, but for most people, it might not entirely be, you know, that convenient. There are also other brilliant toys and blocks in Factorization, which are also absolutely just brilliant. I'll have to go into more detail about it. Next up we have Forestry. You know, that mod which was in Technic but was removed like about April 2012. Yeah, that mod. That mod which introduced those bullshit purple gems. Well, as a matter of fact, those purple gems are actually quite convenient, believe it or not. I'll have to go into more detail. Essentially, Forestry is an add-on you may say, for a BuildCraft. Well, that's what it originally was. The author of Forestry, Sir Sengir, has actually, as a matter of fact, worked on BuildCraft, and is the person responsible for making BuildCraft an open source mod. Essentially, novice modders can take a peeky at the BuildCraft source code and, you know, get some inspiration behind it, or see how the thing works. And Sengir, I love that. You know, just high five if you ever watch this. Next up is the Gravity Gun mod. When I first heard about this, like several years ago, I immediately screamed in joy, because I'm a massive Half-Life fan, believe it or not. And seeing the gravity gun in Minecraft, I was just like, oh my god, this is the ultimate mod. Like, no, seriously. That's essentially most of what it is. Adds the gravity gun. You know, that's it. Not much more to say. I mean, that's all you really need to say. It adds the gravity gun, the ultimate tool in Half-Life. Next up is Nuclear Control, another IndustrialCraft add-on, would you believe, which allows you to control your nuclear reactors, and also adds some other blocks like the alarm systems, some notification monitors, which are kind of like an alternate to some other mods, which I'll be just covering just very shortly. Next up we have inventory tweaks. You know, that mod which sorts your inventories and adds those 4 funny buttons to your chests. Yeah. Next up we have the Iron Chest mod. This was the mod which mostly caused me to crash in previous versions of the Direwolf20 Pack. This allows you to get new chests with larger sizes. Also, this mod was also developed by CPW, which coincidentally did compact solar arrays. And, you know, just thinking about it, this CPW guy, he's a bit of a wild card, you know. He doesn't have a specific theme to his mods, he just does them on the request of certain people. And the Iron Chest mod has been around for a long time. It adds numerous kinds of chests, and you can actually upgrade them progressively. Not like there are even like alternate upgrade paths. Well, just one really. Like if you have the right mods. Essentially, the default chest upgrade path in this mod is normal chest, so the basic wooden ones. Then goes to iron, then to gold, then to diamond, and then the masterpiece of them all, the crystal chest. The crystal chest is the biggest chest of all, and it's also transparent, so it's quite decorative, and also any items you store inside it can be shown without opening it, so no signs required above your chest, just look literally inside, and you'll see like whatever you like to have. Next we have Miss Peripherals. This was developed by one of the IndustrialCraft's 2 devs, I think, Richard G, I think his name is. And Miss Peripherals adds kind of new ways to monitor data in ComputerCraft. It's essentially like ComputerCraft sensors, you know, CC sensors in the Technic pack. But except this mod is actually being updated, like, no shit. Next we have the Gravitation Suite. I'm not sure that I constantly believe that this is a typo, because this is based around a suit of armor which this mod focused around, called the Gravitation Suite, or the Gravitation Armor. And the Gravitation Suite, you know, I just think, does Sentinel know what he's typing? But the Gravitation Suite is mainly focused, well, an add-on for IndustrialCraft 2, which allows you to craft a special IndustrialCraft piece of armor called the Gravitation Suit, which allows you to fly, essentially. So, it's essentially a flying ring, but scientific and IndustrialCraft style. Next we have the Modular Force Field System version 2, or the MFFS mod. You may remember version 1 of MFFS from the Technic Pack. Well, this is a new update, which is, well, a complete rewrite, because the original MFFS was kind of weak and was kind of complex, but, and also, you know, was somewhat OP, you know, you could easily make yourself a force field. So the main developers, essentially Thunderdog and Light One, who is essentially the bug hunter, decided to recode MFFS, so now it has completely different styles and concepts. And as a matter of fact, version 2 adds a whole load of stuff which the original version never did, and I give praise to Thunderdog for actually making this new version. It's absolutely brilliant. Next up we have Mistcraft. This is a mod inspired by the Mistcraft game and book series. If you've never played the game Myst or ever read any of the books, essentially Myst is well, it's hard to describe, but in a nutshell, it's about, you know, a guy who finds a mysterious book which allows them to teleport to numerous new dimensions. Mistcraft completely focuses on that idea of new dimensions, and even customizable ones, and makes it so. I remember checking this out like July 2012, and like seeing like a mod spotlight of this, and I was just like, dear God, is this even possible? Like, I hadn't actually played, you know, Mistcraft that much, and what am I saying? The Myst series that much. I only played like a tiny bit, but I mean, you know, but I mean, judging from my experiences from that, I knew that Mistcraft was going to be quite something. Okay, next up we got some NEI plugins. In case you don't know, NEI doesn't always work with certain mod recipes, specifically IndustrialCraft, RailCraft, Forestry, and several others. Most notable is IndustrialCraft. Despite its, you know, not having actually that much, you know, new recipe sets, even when it's just a simple crafting recipe, if you actually do try to look it up in NEI without an appropriate IndustrialCraft plugin, you will crash. I found that out the hard way when I was trying to actually work out how to make some IndustrialCraft stuff. And since my NEI kept crashing, I had to check the IndustrialCraft wiki like over and over again. That was until like several months later when I discovered that somebody, well, actually a guy called Mystica, actually made a ton of plugins for NEI, which allows you to check, you know, new recipe sets, including like macerator sets, powered furnaces, induction furnace, you know, just any recipe. Mystica provides the code for it to be viewed. Next up we have obsidian pressure plates. Essentially, that's what it is. Pressure plates made out of obsidian. These are actually special pressure plates which can be activated by the player. Next up we have the OmniTools mod, which is a very cool mod in which it provides the Omni Wrench. Ever had that trouble in which you keep mixing up your BuildCraft wrench, or what I call the Iron Wrench, and your Bronze Wrench from Forestry and from IndustrialCraft? Well, with the OmniTools mod, the developer King Lemming decided enough was enough and made a tool to suit them all, the Omni Wrench. And as a new addition, there is also a new block in this called the Forge Lexicon. Essentially, well, I'm going to have to show you what the Forge Lexicon does. It sounds mysterious and awesome, but because it is. Next we have the Portal Gun mod. It's Portal! In Minecraft! That's it. That's enough. It's a recreation of Portal. That's all I'm going to say. Next we have RailCraft. RailCraft, developed by a guy called Covert Jaguar, made a kind of in-depth rail and train-based system in Minecraft. This was kind of a pioneer of a mod, essentially, which allowed you to create new rails, new carts, although it does remove some limitations of what you could originally do when crafting rails in vanilla Minecraft. Like before, you had to have 6 iron, like 3 on the left, 3 on the right, and a stick in the middle. Now, but in RailCraft, it's completely rewritten. Like, the recipe is actually more complex, but to a greater extent, it actually puts more realism into it. Because I mean, 6 iron and a stick, that doesn't seem right. So Covert Jaguar, I mean, I could just imagine that was in his mind, like 6 iron and a stick. The fuck? I mean, I wouldn't have thought that a stick would have made a good rail bed anyway. I mean, it's a stick. You could snap it with your bare hands, let alone have a minecart running across it. A heavy, like about half-ton, like minecart. Like seriously, how could a stick support it? It's a bit of a joke when you think about it. Next up, we have RedPower. This is probably one of the holy grails of mods. Released at a similar time to BuildCraft and IndustrialCraft, RedPower was also a pioneer of a mod. It's extremely diverse, like you wouldn't believe. It adds new world gen, it adds, like seriously, it adds like marble and volcanoes. It adds in tons of awesome machines. It adds a new kind of redstone wiring system and logic gates. If you thought redstone was annoying, like how you weren't able to put it up vertically, use RedPower. The easy solution to make your redstone contraptions even more compact. Honestly, FE Disco is extremely jealous of this mod. Next up, we have Soul Shards. This is essentially a mod which allows you to craft your own, well, craftable spawners, but not like, you know, one of those cheap ones in which, you know, there's those recipes like iron bars and mossy cobblestone and then a mob drop makes, like, a mob spawner of that specific kind. Soul Shards does it in a different way, and I'll have to actually show you how it does it, because the method in which, like, spawners are created is awesome. Next up, we have Steve's Carts 2. In case you don't know, the original Steve's Carts, which was released, like, you know, about, like, May, June time, like, I was there, like, within its early days. Like, Steve's Carts, kind of like RailCraft in the sense that it adds new carts, but Steve's Carts just threw it all away. It made tons of new carts, like solar-powered carts, so forget the furnace carts, which were just seriously like UP, like seriously, you could just use booster rails for fuck's sake, or you could just push them, because I mean, you don't want to waste coal. With solar powered carts, you know, that's a thing of the past. Solar power, bitches! There was also other carts, like loggers. Well, loggers were added in the late stage of Steve's Carts, so I wasn't there when it was actually made. It adds miner carts, chest carts. I'm not talking about simple chest carts. I'm talking massive chest carts. Like seriously, it was like a chest cart called Extra Large, and it required like 3 chests to like make. But Steve's Carts 2, of course, this being 2.0.0. Alpha 42. Adds a completely new system to the cart crafting in Steve's Carts, and in such a way I'm going to have to show you because it's just too mind-blowing for me to spoil. Next we have Thaumcraft, specifically Thaumcraft Free. You know, that mod that was in Technic which not many people liked, mainly for the fact that, you know, it was hard to master, or just the simple fact that it was very hard to get started in. Well, Thaumcraft Free is a complete recoding of the original Thaumcraft mod, in which it adds a completely new system of magic and adds new tools to play around with. I'm still having to get the hang of this mod, because, I mean, seriously, there's a massive amount of things which you can do with Thaumcraft. Next up we have Thermal Expansion, also made by King Lemming, by the way. So let me just see. Yeah, the guy who made OmniTools also made Thermal Expansion, just so you know. And Thermal Expansion is a BuildCraft add-on, partially. It was originally BuildCraft add-on, but then was changed around so it could have its own power system, and, well, just tons of stuff. Thermal Expansion, in some ways, is, well, really just like an alternate to IndustrialCraft, in a sense. It adds tons of BuildCraft powered machines like the pulverizer, the furnace, the magma crucible, the igneous extruder, like tons of them, which require BuildCraft power, and it just makes either like some of the basic parts of IndustrialCraft like partially redundant. Now, I'm not saying that you should completely ditch like IndustrialCraft permanently with this mod. I'm just saying that this is a good alternative. Next, we have the Wireless Redstone Chicken Bones Edition mods. Ever had that trouble of making massive redstone paths? Here's a solution. Get Wireless Redstone Chicken Bones Edition. This is essentially a mod developed by Chicken Bones. You know, the guy who did EnderStorage, Chicken Chunks, NEI? Yeah, that guy, that same guy who made those 3 awesome mods, has also done this. He's a jack of all trades, that's what he is. And the Wireless Redstone mod essentially allows you to send redstone wirelessly. It also adds a couple of other awesome things like wireless remotes, so you don't have to have like, you know, a transmitter and a receiver. It also adds a special weapon, which I might get into, providing that it's still in this mod. And last of all, we have XyCraft. At the moment, this mod is merely just world gen. It's going to expand on several different aspects, namely being aesthetics, which is already done, machines, which is currently in like a beta, is kind of like in a bit of a alpha/beta stage, and then also an upgrade system, which the author Soren I don't think has covered yet, but I might be completely wrong. XyCraft, although mainly being developed by this guy Soren, has also been developed by a bunch of other people, a bunch of like beta testers. The author of this mod is also receiving like a bit of assistance from Chicken Bones, so you know, any mod by Chicken Bones is going to be a good one. At the moment, XyCraft doesn't really have much uses in version 1.9, but of course this is kind of like a pre-release to the proper XyCraft. In version 1.0, it's going to have a ton of stuff, you know. I mean, for anybody who's, you know, watched some certain Let's Players, namely Direwolf20 and Sotmead, will know that XyCraft is already an awesome mod. Like, even if the public releases are bad, you know, it's still going to be good. So anyways, despite I might have wasted your precious time, I just had to get over with the mod list.